Thank you very much, Mr. President, and welcome to our brand new studios. So we'll be doing a lot of production from here, and as we follow you throughout the election night will be here as well. And we'll stay here overnight and read some books because you encourage young people to read. So that's what we'll be doing. Let me start, just 4 questions for you. You say comparison of records. Some people say government is a continuum, and comparison of record in the same government of 2 or 3 people is an exercise in mediocrity. You come and you inherit a government and you continue what the other person did. The other one comes and continues. So when Akufo-Addo says, it is my record and it is his record, it's not true. It's a continuum. What do you say to that?
First of all, let me congratulate you on this new enterprise. You've done very well.
Thank you.
Being associated with this new initiative. The more such initiatives we have in Ghana, I think the better for the health of our body politic. And I'm very keen on greater and greater diversity in the media. I have to congratulate you very strongly on being part of this new arrangement. The question, I mean, some of these questions have to be also situated in their historical context. For the first time in the life of the Fourth Republic, maybe in the lifetime of Ghana itself, the 2 principal contestants for office have both held the highest office of the country. We've never had an election between 2 presidents, as it were. The elections that we've had up to today were between a sitting president and a challenger who had never had the high office. I think the nearest we came to it was Kufuor and Mills the second time, when Mills had been vice president and Kufuor was president. But vice president is not the same as president. There's a difference. President is where the buck stops. You have the ultimate responsibility. So this time round, we have the sitting president in competition with his immediate predecessor. I think it is only normal and correct for people to say, that being the case, looking at how the 2 performed, that's when you talk about record, the 2 performed when they held executive authority, must clearly be a guide for the people of Ghana in making a choice between the 2 people. Because if what you do in office is of no moment when it comes to putting yourself up again, then what is the purpose of record? It is absolutely critical that matter be before the people of Ghana. Because we're not talking about an election between somebody who's in office now against a contender who has never held the supreme executive office. That is not the situation. In this case, we had somebody in office who had been for 4.5 years president, with me who's nearly 4 years in office. Comparing how we both did when we were given the opportunity of running this country has to be a major consideration for the Ghanaian people this way. The whole business of government being a continuum, yes, of course it is. But at the same time, if there are no differences of administrations, why do we have different administrations?
But so how do we measure it? If we talk of infrastructure, we talk of education, we talk about health. Mahama did that because they say, okay, Akufo-Addo did well in GDP growth, but it's because oil had come on stream.
You can make all the qualifications that you like.
Oil, but the mills benefited from it.
You can make all the qualifications, but at the end of the day, there are stark statistics that you have to look at. The Mahama government ended up GDP growth rate of what, 3.4%?
Yes.
3.4%. Yeah. Fiscal deficit of 9.6%. A shrunken GDP. Sluggish growth in agriculture, sluggish growth in industry. These are the data of that. They are not imaginations of mine. You contrast it with what has happened in these last 4 years, where we've had a relatively radically different narrative of growth in all the critical sectors of the economy, a rapid expansion of GDP, much higher, faster growth rates, growth in agriculture, growth in industry, better control over the public finances. It's not to be forgotten. Within 2 years of being in office, having come into office in 2012, by 2015, the Mahama administration had run to the World Bank for policy credibility, for for tutelage in the management of its public finances. That in itself is a dramatic fact, especially from somebody who's today saying that the IMF economy that he left behind, the economy in the tutelage of the IMF, was, quote, a strong economy. That is one of the statements that I've heard from President Mahama recently, that he left me and the NPP a strong economy. An economy under IMF tutelage is a strong economy. An economy that was running a deficit of 9.6% is a strong economy. An economy growing at 3.4% was a strong economy. Virtually all the indices of economic management were all were on a downward decline. And we're told, I don't know whether this is part of the hope that Ghanaian memories are so short that we have even forgotten these data. But we won't forget it, and we will continue to bring them up for the consideration.
In terms of inheritance, in what you inherit and what another person inherits, does it make your case stronger that President Mahama probably inherited himself because he inherited himself directly as president and from vice president to mill? Does it make a difference? I mean, assuming he didn't inherit himself, would your argument be different?
The argument cannot be different. I mean, at any one stage, the beginning of every 4 years is to use the American expression, is a new ball game. You start with the given of your. It's like asking, saying that you would have preferred to have somebody else as your parent. That's wishful thinking. You have what you have, and you deal with the circumstances of what you have. But it's important to remember that in 2012 we had, I believe, the year before was the year which has seen a 14% growth rate as a result of the oil.
Oh yes, when we became an oil-added economy.
The first oil economy, we had become an emerging oil economy. Under the management of John Mahama, within 2 years of that, we were in the hands of the IMF. And for reasons that were not secret, the public finances were out of control. There's no discipline in them. And for policy credibility, it was said at the time, we run into the hands of the IMF. So we're looking at all of these things to give an indication of the quality of management. These are some of the decisions that people have to take on the 7th of December.
So this is what you are urging on the Ghanaian people and inviting them to vote for you again?
Yes, I'm inviting for them to vote for me again. One, because I believe that I've been truthful to them. The commitments that I made to the Ghanaian people are commitments that on the whole I have kept. It's obvious to them that I have kept them. I want them to see me as a man of integrity, of somebody who came to speak the truth to them, and in whom they can have confidence, in whom they can entrust their destiny and the destiny of their children. I think that what has happened in these last 4 years has shown that the leadership of this country has been, if you like, in the right hands. The leadership that enabled us to confront the COVID menace, not that we have overcome it, but we certainly have stood up well to it. The statistics indicate that. And as a whole, have been able to manage much, much more effectively the arrangements of our economy. So we have a much stronger economy today than we had 5 years ago. Much stronger economy than we have then.
Even with COVID?
Even with COVID. I think that if we had not had a strong economy, it would have been very difficult for us to have survived the whole COVID experience. But we've been able to survive the COVID experience largely because we've had a strong economy. I think when you make these statements, it's very important for people, all of us, to understand that nobody is saying that Ghana is today a paradise. You and I know Ghana is not a paradise. But we begin from somewhere, and we make our comparisons from where we begin. And then we're also talking about an evolutionary, a gradual process, a process of growth. We will not become a first world economy overnight. We need to do many, many things and do them consistently for some time.
Is it not taking us too long, Mr. President? You have
been
part of this process forever.
It may be.
Us too long
It may be, but then I think that the periods when we have had, if you like, correct policy, correct diagnosis and correct policy have been relatively short periods. But whenever you've had an administration that has had a clear and lucid analysis of the problems, and more specifically of the prescriptions, we have seen some growth in benefits. I have always to refer to the Kufuor period as a point of reference. He took a HIPC economy, an economy in the doldrums, and was able to grow that economy to an extent that at a particular moment in time, Ghana had become the poster boy of the Africa Rising narrative, if you remember, of the first decade of the 21st century, because the analysis was correct and the prescriptions that followed that analysis were equally pungent. And they